we're here together with our colleagues from Experian, Mariyan and Rostislav. As we have promised before, we're starting this initiative of inviting different stakeholders to speak not only about Credefi, but in general the market conditions and other broader topics. So Mariyan and Rostislav, they have worked for quite some time with Experian and with us now. And I'll just give them a short intro, just to introduce themselves and what are you guys working on, and yeah, if you can give us a brief description.
Hello everyone, I'm Mariyan Matakev and I'm head of analytics for Experian for Central and Eastern Europe. Actually, recently I've taken over a wider range for Southern Europe, so I'm also responsible for analytics Central. Thank you. I'm mostly dealing a lot with regulatory topics, which would be interesting because I think we can have a good discussion also on regulations here. I'm supervising Experian projects in the analytics space in a lot of regions, as I mentioned, and markets in Europe. In that space, of course, we are doing a lot of advanced analytics, machine learning, also artificial intelligence, if you call it. So yeah, we're interested to talk about the different use cases also of blockchain and everything in that space.
Sure, we will definitely delve into that. And Rostislav?
Yes. Yeah. So, hi everyone, I'm Rostislav Gyonkov, and it's a pleasure able to be here with you today.
Thank you.
I've been with Experian for, I think, 13 years now, since 2010. And I'm the senior consultant for Experian EMEA, responsible for the innovations and regulatory part of our business. Okay. So, yeah, through the years, been delivering quite a lot of different projects related to customer management, risk assessment, of course, helping a lot our clients how to use at maximum their different data assets, because this is a very important branch of our business. Basically helping our clients, financial institutions, banks, different verticals, okay? How to take full advantage of their different assets and technologies, combine them, and serve their customers in a very good way.
That's great. That's great. It all sounds really impressive. We're also very happy, that we can use your know-how and knowledge when it comes to Credefi as well. So, Experian we have some questions prepared, of course. So, one of them is Experian being a leading data analytics company. If you can just tell us a bit more into what is the value which it brings to financial institutions and to the financial sphere as a whole? Like, what do you think is the core value which data analytics brings?
Well, Ross put it before. I mean, we help organizations make the most use of their data, whether it's internal, external, whether it's traditional or alternative data, which we may talk about as well, like, for example, web data, publicly available web data, or publicly available blockchain data, hopefully in the future. That is what we help organizations with, make the maximum use of their data. Of course, a lot of it is about risk management, because we deal with financial institutions and banks predominantly.
Yeah, risk management is a very, very interesting topic. We have always talked that this is the main focus for us at Credefi as well. Being coming from the corporate financial sector ourselves, me and Valentin. So this is also why we wanted to work with you guys so much, because in our previous experience with you has been really, really great. And I think the main focus is, being a clear, predictable picture of the sector, and the probability of default of different borrowers, because we have that in Credefi as well, the scoring mechanisms which you guys are providing, and I think this is one of the main value adds which you guys are providing. But as a whole, data analytics is a much broader topic as well, and we're actually thinking about the use case for blockchain into it, because blockchain, one of the main purposes is, transparency. Everybody can see the transactions, everybody can see what's happening in the sector. So this combined with relative regulation, I think it could be leading to the next financial revolution, let's say. What do you think about it?
Yeah, so this is a very important topic because we see that quite a lot of our clients are currently engaged or started to engage with the blockchain, the different crypto assets. And we see our role here as, because we in Experian, we work with any type of client. Could be a very traditional bank or very traditional financial institutions, up to something that is extremely high tech, like Credefi, that uses also the blockchain technology to serve peer-to-peer lending between different investors and the SMEs in your case. So for us, this is important because, through the years, technologies changes, economy changes, the way people do business changes. And we need to stay close to our clients and also develop together with them. So this is why we are also part of that development, because Experian is not directly involved in the blockchain technology. However, since different financial institutions like you are involved, our products and services can actually serve you quite well. In your case, the SME, for example, when Experian been doing projects for SME lending for several decades now. So we know quite well how the system works. And now what we have as a new topic is actually the different type of information of data that you get in that process. So our services are quite in line, adding that piece of information in these processes that you guys do, okay, to expand the range of our products so we can serve you even in the future. So this is the idea. So it's not a brand new topic per se, because this is the business how it operates. It's just the technology is new and the different data elements that you add, which are very, very valuable.
I think it does bring a lot of opportunities coming forward, because when you think about it, there is mass amount of data within the blockchain space, and it's still not largely adopted. So you can imagine, like, there is companies which are, actually we had a company which we spoke of eventually partnering up with them. They're providing a KYC on wallet identification, so solely based on the crypto wallet which you're having. They're tracking the activity behind it, and then we can use that as we can take that data and use it for analytics, and eventually, perhaps with the help of Experian, do a risk model based on the behavior of the wallet itself, not only on the person. So I don't know. I do think that also now we're focusing on SMEs because we know the sector, and as you said, you guys have great experience with them, and you know how to do it. But maybe in the future we can focus also on retail, and on this, based on this data, perhaps. I don't
For
know.
private
We'll see.
individuals, we've received requests even recently on that topic, like to measure the risk even of private investors on specific wallets. So we've been having requests related to, indeed, measuring the risk investor by investor. You were talking about measuring the risk of the wallet itself or of the investor, right? So that would grant, access to insights about the individual investors and what you can offer more, how to help them in a better way, right? That's the way to do it. I mean, add additional alternative data or new data coming from the blockchain, like what we're doing in our project, right? We're adding alternative data. We're using now the publicly available web data to score customers. And I think sometimes people tend to grab the new wave or the new trend coming in, the new data, if you will. There are a lot of companies that are now trying to use DeFi data, right? Specific information about the transactions in the DeFi world in order to manage the risk, or to predict the risk of default, if you will, or the risk of not making a payment. But they forget that at the same time there is traditional data I mean, they're not forgetting, but sometimes they're putting it aside, saying, "Oh, that's traditional data. We don't want to use it." That to me is a bit of an oxymoron. To me, the best you get when you combine both worlds, like the old traditional data with the new data, you get the most insights.
Yeah, actually, I truly believe in what you're saying, to be honest. This is why also from the start, from the goal with Credefi, we have always said that we want to bridge the two worlds. So it's not only, solely DeFi, crypto, blockchain, but also, we want to include the traditional finance models and way of work, because I do believe that, you cannot keep them separate. I mean, these real people which are using crypto and DeFi and all the new technology, they're actually living in the real world, right?
Yeah.
So they're just users of the technology. So I do think that a combination between both traditional and adding onto the new possibilities would be the best way onwards. Speaking about that, like, if you could maybe give us some insights, because open banking has been going around as a, as a phrase like for quite some time now, and speaking about combining the two data sources, new technology, blockchain and traditional, what do you think about it? Could you give us some insights? Like, what do you think is happening there?
Yeah, so PSD2, or the transactional data that you are referring to, basically here we have this regulation, the PSD2 regulation, that simply puts a legal framework saying that the customers actually possess that data because this is their own data. Okay, and that means they are free to give it to different organizations so they can get better service, better assessment. So actually it's good for the customer. This is what the European Union did with that regulation. So having that in mind, it's quite useful for even startups, because startups, they don't have the resources of the banks.
Yeah.
And this gives them the opportunity clearly to access that information, and actually they make tailored products for their customers and make the customers loyal, happy, get all of the value they need. And also for you as a financial organization to stay protected from the high risk that you may get eventually without having that information, right? So it's a win-win situation. And the startups in these financial institutions, actually, you need to see how you can be competitive against the banks, right? Because what do the banks have? They have credibility, they have transparency, these old organizations that remain through the years. So this is how the community see it. Yes, and in your case, actually the blockchain allows you to have the perfect visibility, the perfect transparency, the perfect accountability, because all data is traceable. Given certain conditions, all data can be even audited if needed. Okay, so this is something that makes customers, consumers, happy and safe, and this is what I think you need to promote to make everything work.
Yeah, we're trying to. I hope that also the people who are gonna view this are gonna see that we're trying to be as transparent as possible. Also, we're trying to be as stable as possible, because given the current market conditions, a lot of people are afraid of projects as a whole, because there is certain, how to put it in a certain, yeah, well, the sector is still risky, right? There are certain projects which are not very secure, which from the onset, but with us, that's what we're trying to tell people, is that for us it's important that the project is very transparent, very secure, build trust within the financial system, within the people who are invested into it. And this is our main focus and goal, to be honest.
Yeah,
So.
that's why I like that you're coming actually from a highly regulated world, right? You're coming from a banking world, which is indeed one of the most highly regulated areas of economic activity. So the fact that you're coming from there, it not only gives you, to me, it doesn't give you a very narrow view, but it rather gives you the discipline which you need.
Yeah,
We shouldn't talk extensively about the FTX and what happened, but indeed, I mean, discipline is one of the keys because, of course, everyone expects blockchain to be regulated or DeFi to be regulated at in the very near future, and that would be a good thing, actually.
I do agree with you. I think there needs to be a regulation. It shouldn't be overly regulated because the whole idea is that people, let's say from China, can actually participate in the financial sector in Europe without having like a lot of barriers to entry into the market, right? But there needs to be a regulation, definitely, and with us, we're trying to stick to what is out there at the moment. So that's why we also, I don't know if I shared with you that, but we also incorporated in Lithuania. We got a license there for virtual currency service provider. So now we're as regulated as possible, let's say. I mean, what is out there, we're into the guidelines, and I do think that it's helpful. It also makes people more secure, right? Feel a bit more comfortable with the project when you have such kind of.
Yeah, but
in that respect, perhaps the most important thing would be the KYC, right? Basically making sure that all of these investments, money floating around, do not come from people or entities they are not supposed to come. Yes. So this, I believe, is the greatest risk. And if there are regulations further increasing, they should be in that direction to make sure that they are not illegal, terrorist, even kind of organizations making these types of financial.
But if you think about the blockchain as a whole, what I find the two most valuable properties of the blockchain is actually one that Ross was talking about. It provides you with the option to identify yourself in a very easy manner, right? If you use tokens, it's quite possible to be very fast in identifying yourself, right? And and the other thing I would mention is financial inclusion, actually. And that's what I mean. That a lot of people boast about it, saying, okay, there's access of a lot of people, even in the DeFi world, to DeFi funds, right? But in the end, sometimes it's not easy to get to these funds. Whilst open banking that we just talked about actually is meant to even give you higher financial inclusion.
Yeah.
Right? So there should be a bridge between those two. Open banking currently doesn't operate on the blockchain or anything, but it's going in the same direction, and the goal is the same: financial inclusion.
Yeah, I think that there is a lot of people out there and individuals which are neglected, as you said. So financial inclusion is a big topic.
4 billion, actually.
Yeah. And I think it's a good way where people can enter the market, as you said just now. And the thing is how exactly you could do it, right? So this is the main question. But I guess we'll have to wait and see if this is the only way forward. But I do think that banks are starting to cope up with it. I think that we actually had talks with a couple of funds which are, entities like daughter entities of banks, and they are quite interested into the space, and I think they're starting to move forward as well on that. I guess we'll have to see how quickly they're gonna catch up onto the technology. The thing is with banks, it's and I've saw it. I think you have seen it as well. Like their systems are already so. I don't know exactly.
They have legacy systems.
They have very heavy history, right? So it's very difficult to adopt something new. I think this is their main problem for adoption wise.
But this is why they make these spin-offs, these very high-tech smaller banks, exactly to do that. Online digital lending, all of these.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm just gonna go to another question which we have, because the thing is we also asked some of our community members to provide questions which might be interesting. So we selected some of them, yeah, I think what most people were interested is that you have worked for some of the biggest banks and financial institutions in Europe, let's say, in the region. Credefi is a bit different, right? And what would you say is that the most interesting aspect? Like, why did you decide to also, work with us, and just in a few words, maybe?
Well, to be working with you is interesting, quite interesting, because we have access to this area of blockchains and everything which is totally new as a technology, and I truly believe that this will result in many different use cases. So if you ask me what the blockchain is going to look like in years, you never know. It will shape up in various forms.
Definitely.
So it will have a lot of use cases. So to me, that's the technology of the future, indeed, and also Web3 included, basically. So we're very happy to partner with such innovative companies. What also is interesting for me is that indeed you come from a regulated, disciplined world, and you want to step on some sound basics. While some of the guys out there in DeFi are not exactly doing that. And so to me, indeed, you're trying to do a very good bridge between the two worlds, having the highly regulated, disciplined, traditional way of financing organizations with the new technologies that facilitate faster payments, security, transparency.
Yeah, truly, that's really what we're trying to achieve. And actually, for me personally, this time efficiency which can be provided with such kind of a technology is it's fascinating, really. I mean, once there is, as we said, once there is a bit more regulation, a bit more inclusion, I mean, this can be life-changing for many people. You don't need to wait for a week to open a bank account. You don't need to wait, I don't know, let's say 2 weeks to get a loan. It's just it happens quite quickly, and I think this is a really great advantage which can be offered. And yeah, I guess we're going towards the end. Like, would you like anything else to share or to speak about? I don't know, maybe.
No, yeah. Well, it's not to talk about the current crypto situation. Like, it's a bit like leaving the elephant in the room, right? And just covering it, trying to cover it up.
Yeah, no, we're not. Everybody knows what the reality is. So.
Yeah. And in fact, a lot of people and even organizations would lose a lot of money out of this. The current, let's say, correction in the market. I would call it a correction because I think that's what is necessary for the market to actually get away from, let's say, mass scammers or people who are just pretending they have any virtual value, whilst in actual fact they're just trying to make some money.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
They're trying
like
to
it
speculate.
was with the .NET, right? Only the
we call this, like fake hype, fake marketing hype, which I think a lot of people are very good at, but they're not good at actually creating companies which can bring value. This is
true.
It's clear to me that a lot of coins would actually be missing or disappear in the next years, and people should know that. They should realize that when they do an investment, right? And that's the whole why the correction is actually good for people to realize that they shouldn't put all your investment or all your savings on crypto, because especially if you don't know what's lying beneath it, right?
Definitely.
People go blind, blindfolded and just.
Yeah, it's amazing for me, being in the sector for now, let's say around 2 years. It's amazing that so many people are, they're just blindly following, let's say, some, influencer or some project, and tips and so on. Well, actually not not researching the fundamentals. But yeah, you know, this is me speaking from coming from the original financial world. But I do think that, as you said, these shakeouts, let's say, you know, like these market conditions which are at the moment are helping clear the way for, you know, actually projects which can be reliable and sustainable in the long run. So I do think that to a certain extent it is helpful. I mean, it is, of course, a lot of people are harmed by it. They have lost quite a lot of money into it. But then again, better to be happening now than, you know, let's say when there is a lot more inclusion into the market. So at least now, you know, after each bear market, people are a lot more educated. You know, things are becoming a lot more, how to say it, comfortable, let's say.
Yeah. But and especially to DeFi, as we said, if there is regulation, a particular regulation to be followed, then people would feel safer, and I would feel safer that
Exactly, yeah.
organizations in this space would actually act in a proper way, right, and would not fail their investors, right?
Yeah. But then again, when you feel safer as an investor and the general public, this also brings a lot more inclusion, right? So institutions would be feeling a lot more comfortable entering into the space. A lot more funding will be coming into the space. So, as I said, I think it's a good thing. I mean, of course, it hurts us as well, but this is not the main focus of our project or the company. I mean, just because the price action moves and has some volatility doesn't mean that the company is going bankrupt. At least that's for some projects. I mean, some projects are not that way, but with us, it's different. I mean, we are building something for the long run here, so. And we're really happy that we can depend on you guys in the future as well for initiatives. I do think that there is a lot which we can gain from this collaboration on both sides, and from the technology as a whole.
Yeah, well, the other thing is credit bureaus, right? We
Yeah.
have a lot of credit bureaus active, and a lot of people think that, well, especially ones in the DeFi space, as we said, think that you could use mostly alternative data rather than credit bureau data, or the other alternative is actually to put the credit bureau data on the blockchain. So if you ask me if that's going to happen soon, I'm not convinced.
Okay.
So if you ask me, okay, what type of data you envision on the blockchain and to be used actively, I can think of new use cases. As you said, open banking is one example, but it's going to be hard again, because institutions want the data to be property of the individual, but today it's not really the case. It's mostly like a property of the banks. But I could envision something like new data sources, new types of data, like ESG, for example. ESG is a new type of data. You know, everyone is now actively trying to build up databases for ESG. And how do you know what's the situation across the Atlantic, or for a company across the Atlantic? How is it complying with the ESG, its ESG responsibilities and regulations? Well, if you had a blockchain which kind of shares such data in a transparent way, and it is related to each and every company, region, or country, then it would be really, really.
That's really interesting.
Useful.
Yeah, what you're saying. I do think that, for example, what you're explaining, even the NFT technology can come into, useful into that particular example which you're giving. So I think there is technological way to do it. It's just, a matter of time before somebody actually creates such kind of a system, let's say. But I guess it will take some time before that, mainly because of regulations as well. There need to be a body source which can actually regulate that, right?
Yeah, there needs to be regulations, as we said. I mean, at least for me as well, people feel safe when they invest in crypto or when they give away money.
Yeah.
in a DeFi way. We need to be sure that it's gonna come back, right?
Definitely, yeah. Okay, well, on our side, I don't think there is anything anything to add on to our discussion at the moment, unless you want to speak about anything else, or I think we covered pretty much everything. Yeah. Well, thanks for joining us, and you know, we do look forward to continue working with you. And yeah, thanks for everything.
Us too. Thank you
It's
very
a
much,
pleasure.
Ivo.
Thank you.